You are now listening to Carly's Couch.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life,
whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy. What does it look like to go all in towards your dreams? This week on Carly's Couch, we discuss what it would actually look like if we went all in.
Happy Monday. Hope you're still enjoying your year. I know everybody around this time starts saying, January's so long.
January is like 800 days. Let's be all the way clear. January be long as hell.
Listen, we just trying to get to February 5th, really. And then the year can end.
Nah, we got to go to December 17th, and then it can end.
That's so long. From
But
the beginning to the end of the year.
you know, you holding up the front, I'm holding up the back of the line. It just works out like that. But anyways, hopefully y'all are enjoying the 800th day of January by the time that this comes out. So last week we talked about, and we don't have a question of the week, so don't wait for that today. Question from the couch.
Oh man, now y'all just hit
Darn,
stop.
oh, I know. Dang, sorry.
Y'all
Just
just said,
kidding. It's
"Never mind."
at the end again. But last week we talked about this idea of learning to accept where you are and how sometimes it doesn't feel like you're doing enough or that you'll ever get there, or there's this like insurmountable thing in front of you. And it could feel kind of heavy. This led me to the idea that, maybe I'm not going hard enough for my goals and dreams. And that was one of the things we talked about, that part of, if you're not where you want to be, is really taking an honest look at your actions, and are you making those steps and doing the things that you need to do to be where you want to be. If you're not, then this week is for you. And even if you are, this could help you hone how you're working towards your goals and dreams. But we're discussing like what it really looks like to go all in. Like, what does that even mean? I feel like there's this pressure, every time when stuff isn't going the way you want it to go real hard. But like, what does that mean?
When I hear about going all in and going hard, the way I think about it is that in every area of life. So remember we talked about the Life Manifesto at the top of the year also. In all of those areas, what could you be doing, or what are you doing to like work on everything every day, to do all the things you need to do, should do, etc. every day? And quite frankly, I just get exhausted thinking about it. But in our society now, we have different, like, there's programs and things that are like, hey, do this, like Lent, Ramadan, for example. Like, take 40 days and fast. Focus on your spirituality. Pray during those days, right? There's that 75 hard is what it's called. 75 hard, which I don't even know all the things it entails. There's
2 workouts a day, no alcohol, have to drink a gallon of water a day, read 10 pages of a book, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I've done like a dry month, right?
Daniel fast, juice fast,
21 day all raw and juice fasting. What else are like some different things? Isn't there some exercise ones too? Like, or remember when it used to be more popular on Instagram and like doing challenges and all kind of stuff like that, right? And so going hard is like, okay, I am really gonna dedicate to like doing a little bit of this thing or doing this thing consistently, but I feel like it's typically for like a month, a couple months, something like that, right? Because when I hear it, it sounds overwhelming anyway to be like, man, you should always be going hard. And I think it's easier to digest that way when it's like a smaller period of time.
Yeah, and I feel like when you were saying, like, what it means is to go hard in every area, I'm like, I don't know if that's realistic. Not to say that I doubt y'all or myself, but I just don't know how realistic that is. Like, even in some of the bigger, like, work on yourself programs, like Tony Robbins, they say, take a look at all the areas in your life, like we did in the Life Manifesto. Pick 2, go really hard in those 2, and then switch and readjust, like the 2 lowest ones, like your finances. Like Dave Ramsey probably had like a really hard challenge, like to try to pay down debt. I remember people were doing that. But I just don't know if it's realistic. But I noticed this like urge in myself to be like, man, I need to buckle down and do all the things.
Because I feel like part of us knows that, all right, we have been kind of lower energy, or like we could go harder. We know that, right? But then also to add on to like with Tony Robbins, etc. Your Gary Vaynerchuk's, your Grant Cardone, and 10X Rule, like they really push like go harder, go harder, go harder, go harder. Tom Bilyeu, like go harder, go harder, go harder. And you do see how you get results from that, because yes, of course, if I'm putting, 8 hours, 10 hours into the most important work. Yes, you're going to see outcomes. And it's like we know that, and yet we don't go hard all the time because, to Kali's point, it can be exhausting. And or maybe we do have to prioritize, like, okay, what's the first domino that makes the most sense to go hard on that will make the rest easier, which probably for a lot of people could be like nutrition, exercise, or a lot of times it's about building habits. How do you even build this habit to be able to go hard? And for me, it's like, okay, well now, shoot, since I'm actually like doing a little bit of running every day, I see how like, okay, that became easy. Now, like, what else can you start to do and start to add? So I think it is a lot to think about in that way. But if we focus on maybe some of the things that have to do with our own health, our brain health, gut health, stuff like that, maybe it makes the other ones easier. But Carly, my question for you, if you had a perfect day, if it was like you're going hard, what would that look like? What would a day look like? Because I'm thinking about mine.
Okay. So I'll go to bed early the night before so I could get up early, probably around 5:30, to take some time to stretch, meditate, go work out, come back home, have some coffee, sit by myself, read a book or a journal, do something that excites me and makes me feel good or relaxes me. And then, so what time? So I worked out 6 to 7, got home, took a shower, drank my coffee.
Low key, that'd be slipping like the time warp, and it'd be like 3 hours later.
So exactly.
And then you start working, you're like,
So here's my thing. So I could sit here and tell you, like, the rest would be like, cook breakfast, something pretty quick, but something that's nutritious, take all my supplements. Then I would hop on meetings and I would do my biz dev. And then Lexi and I would have our pre-production episode meeting for this. And then I would spend time with a loved one and I would do this. But anytime I've ever tried to draw out what would be a perfect day for me, I end up with 46 hours in one day. And what I mean is, like, when I look at my time journal, it's just never realistic. Like, ever.
Yes, I agree with you. If I think about, like, man, I'm going to go hard for 30 days. Every day, similarly, wake up at, I'll say like 6 years out. Wake up. I would have a time for reading. I would have time for meditation in the morning and the afternoon. I will have time for me. I'm actually starting to like work out in the evening better. So I'd have like an afternoon/evening would be my workout. I would have X amount of emails/calls or networking things to do. I would have all vegetables. I'll be eating all vegetable, everything. What else would I need to have to feel like I was going hard for me? And it also tells you a lot about what you think is important for you. Because for me, the biggest things, right? If I can narrow this down and be like, even to make it simpler, if I just meditated twice a day, ate a good meal a day, or like by that, like not processed, probably if I ate all non-processed, and if I worked out once a day, and if I need to have some work process thing where it's like 9 hours for me, but like, and if I cross off like X things or whatever for work, then that's a pretty go hard day. And the thing is that even saying that, it sounds kind of like, all right, that's like a regular day. But like that actually it's a lot. And my thing too is like, it's so hard to do it every day. And as soon as like one thing comes up, like maybe a friend is having a birthday dinner, and like that one evening, now it's like it kind of mess up the rest of the week.
Like a domino.
And it's like you just off, and it's like, dang, I can't hang out, I can't have fun. And so it's just so strict to think about it that way. And I think that the expectation of all these things that we should be doing, coupled with the fact that we're kind of setting ourselves up to fail a lot of the time, makes it almost a more of a negative experience to be so focused on trying to go hard, if that makes sense, than to
actually
be just doing some of the things. Like I feel bad every morning if I'm like, because I'll go to bed like 9:30, and I'll go to bed and be like, all right, I'm going to wake up at like 6 tomorrow. And I'll still be like, wake up at 7, 8, whatever. And it's like you consistently will feel bad, like not meeting certain things. So then it's like, all right, well, let's just figure out like what can your day really look like that you can do regularly, or like what can you change in your life and make habits of that actually becomes a second-hand thing, like a second nature thing.
And I think that's so important. So it's funny, whenever I start with clients, they're like, okay, we want to work out 5 times a week. And I'm like, first of all, I love y'all, but I'm not seeing you 5 times a week. Let's start with 2. They're like, only 2? And I'm like, listen, because once you show me a month that you can do 2 times a week for a month, then I'll give you a third session. I'm not giving you a third session until then.
For them to be calling you 20 minutes before,
Baby,
like,
because
we gonna have to cancel today.
because it takes a lot to build a habit.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I don't miss workouts. I have passed whatever, thank God, whatever thing in my life is where I have to think about work. It happens. It is going to happen. I was laughing. I share my goals with Coach Ashley, who was on the podcast a long time ago, but I share my goals with her like every week. And we, you know, that just helps me. She does like a coaching thing. And she's like, can you take working out off your list? She's like, you're going to do it all the time. Like, stop counting things that don't matter. And so I was like laughing. I'm like, damn, you're right. That's the one thing I'm going to get done, regardless if everything else doesn't get done.
And you wanted to focus on things that you want to make sure you do. Like, you have to be more conscious about
I have to be more conscious about setting goals for my business and making sure I'm doing those. And not like specific, like, oh, I'm going to finish this. It's like I need to spend a certain amount of time on a thing for my business. I need to do this. I need to do that. But I also, now that I'm saying that, I also, you know, would like to figure out what it looks like to go a little bit harder, like nutrition-wise and body-wise, because I work out way too much to not be where I want to be there. So it's like, you know, how can I go a little harder here? And I'm not...
First, listen to last week's episode on how to accept.
Exactly. And then also, I'm not disparaging people from trying 75 hard, from doing a Daniel fast, from doing a juice fast. We're not saying don't do those things, but oftentimes we set ourselves up for failure, like Lexi was saying, by doing those and not like starting small first. And so if you really do want to make a big change, not saying you shouldn't try those things. I think they're really great to help you build discipline. But do I think it's realistic for you to do 2 45-minute workouts? One of them has to be outside every single day, plus reading and doing. No, I don't think that that's realistic for most people, especially a lot of y'all might have kids. Like, I don't think that that's a thing.
Yeah, I like all of those things because also they can give you a reset. And I don't think after the 75 days, that doesn't become an everyday thing.
No.
But if it does, power to you. And what will happen, though, is some of the things start to stay on. So, like, when I've eaten all raw foods for 21 days, by the end of it, you do kind of have a little bit of habit of, like, okay, there's certain things that now they don't even taste good anymore until you eat a couple times. But, like, I remember that, like, that first slice of pizza or that first, like, dessert or something after, and you're like, yuck, this is so sweet, or this is, you literally like, this tastes like chemicals, whatever you eating, because it's like not real food, and your body's like, oh, here we go again, back to the trash. But it can help you recognize things about yourself. So by going really hard, you can learn more about yourself. You can learn like, oh, wow, I actually feel better when I go to bed earlier, or I actually feel better when I take milk out of my diet, or like whatever, right? And 2, it's really good because it can show you that you can be consistent. But 3, you do have to have grace. So when things happen, or you got to go to your friend's birthday, dinner, or whatever, and like you get a little off, like you do have to have grace about, you know, if every single day is not there. My running coach, if I miss a day, he'd be like, that's fine if you miss a day. You just know which days are most important and the things you kind of need to at least make sure you get focused on during the week. And so let's talk about how we can make this feel realistic, I guess, to go hard, because also I hate when people always say like, no, you don't need to work harder, you need to work smarter. And I'm like, I get that, but also but like, I know when I'm like sitting around all day and I ain't do nothing, like I ain't do shit. And yes, I literally mean like, I need to go harder. Like I should go harder. But also another reason why we don't is, for me, it can be, as a woman, it could be time of the month stuff going on. Sometimes I can look at what time of the month it is and be like, I'm gonna give myself permission to kind of chill this week, or lay out a little more, or whatever. It could be might have really low energy at certain times, and it's like, okay, I need to address that. Like, you need to kind of be okay, because every day you're not going to be at 100%. My body battery, I wake up sometimes and this hasn't gone up much, but I know if it has, and my body battery is full, then I need to take full advantage of the day.
I feel like there is something. So I am all about like being where you need to be. Showing up every day as you are is enough. That's a huge lesson in yoga, because a lot of times people come in and be like, man, I can always do the splits and do a handstand and do all this, but you come in and you can't do it and you feel bad. That's part of yoga, teaching you that it's okay to show up as you are, and whatever body you bring to the class that day is enough. And it's okay. And yes, and I still think there's a lot of good discipline in showing up for yourself when you said you would. So if you say next week, I'm gonna wake up every day at 6 a.m., baby, wake up every day at 6 a.m. Like if set little goals for yourself, I think that's a big first step in like learning to go all in, is like picking something that you know will be beneficial. Like next week, I'm only do juice for breakfast and lunch. I'm only, I'm gonna eat a big dinner or whatever you're trying to do, whatever kind of your goals are, but figuring out a thing and then building some confidence and momentum in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think when you were talking about the yoga and it's like showing up, even if you're kind of messing up, what Carly just said, like showing up is the biggest thing. So I think that's a good way to make going hard realistic. If you can think about in those different areas of where can I show up, even if it's, okay, well, I'm not gonna eat donuts for breakfast, or or maybe you go to the store and you get like what I started doing. I started going to get, like, let me go get a big bag of grapes. So like, all right, when I'm like, need a little something sweet, then it's like, let me at least start with this. I ain't gonna hold you though. The other day I ate some grapes and I was like, that ain't it. And I had some sherbet. I ate some sherbet. I was like, I gotta order some cheesecake still. Like I was wilding, but it's like at least you
tried.
Yeah, you start in a certain place and you show up for yourself there. Like she said earlier, like if you ain't in the mood to run 20 miles today, like okay, there's been a couple of times where I'll be like, you know what, I know I just need to go outside. Let me go for a walk. And you can do something. So for me, going hard for me just means I showed up in those different spaces. And I know I talk about doing something different every time we on this podcast, because I'm a person who I have to keep changing my routine or how I look at it or whatever. And so what I'm on right now, I guess this is showing up, which I wasn't thinking about in that way. But what I do is I have like Carly's couch, work, relationship, body, or like / health or whatever. Like I have some different categories written down to where at the end of the day, I try to look at it and say, did I do something for my body? Oh, mind. I'm like, did I do something for my mind? And that could be if I went on a walk. That could be if I sat down and was just like reflective, like anything. I feel like if I took time to read, whatever it might be, right? And that way it's not like, oh, I have to read every day, but at least like, did I give myself a moment every day in some kind of way? Did I at least retweet something for Carly's couch, or did I look at a document or do what I'm supposed to be doing on the editing or whatever, right? So my thing is like, okay, if I can say I showed up in these spaces, then today was a successful day. But what I'm thinking about now that we're talking about this going hard, I do like something you said at the beginning about like choosing a space to go hard in, because I know the place where I talk the worst to myself about is with my food. I literally, like, I don't know what it is about every night by about 7, 8 o'clock when I'm sitting on the sofa and I'd be like, I won't even be hungry, but I'll be like, damn, I want some Taco Bell. I want to eat stuff, or I just want the fat and the salt and the sugars and whatever. And I just always I'll get down on myself because it's like, dang, like I really should be eating better. I should be doing that. And it's like, but why? Like, why is it not clicking to do what I keep saying I know I need to do? And so that's where it gets tough. And I wonder if that means, Carly, do I have to figure out another like workaround of how to look at it and make it easy and become, a thing I just do? Or maybe I don't know, maybe I need to just be like, all right, forget it. Like, and stop acting like that's a goal or a thing, because I just keep being disappointed with myself, and maybe just find something new, like something else to think about, like, this is what I'm going to do.
That's a great question. I think there are 2 ways we can take this. So I feel like a lot of failure in these goals and the beating up of ourselves that follows is because we're not, prepared. But I will say you did try to be prepared. You had grapes, you had sherbet, and it still happened.
I'll go grocery shopping and come home and call Uber Eats. And so if I have to cook it, then it's like,
I feel like, one, that's some self-exploration to what the thing is, like what the blockage is. Because obviously it's a thing, right? It's a thing. And that's okay. We all have things. But sitting with your thing and trying to figure out what it is. But one, like maybe just say, okay, Monday through Wednesday, I can't do that.
I took Uber Eats off my phone. Yeah. But then Uber got smart because Uber has rides and eats in it, and I'd definitely be Ubering. So I'd be like, shoot, delivery.
But like I said, start small. So if it's a thing, like maybe on Mondays, or on long run days or whatever. Because I think you should reward yourself whenever you show up extra hard for yourself. But like start small on a goal, and that can just be your thing. Like, on Wednesdays, I do not order out, whatever it is, and just do not, and really like set your foot down for yourself.
What I have to do for me is I have to do the opposite. If I can't do a thing, is it doesn't work. What would work for me and I've done a little bit, is if I say, okay, on Monday I'm eating some salmon and potato, on Tuesday I'm eating this, on Wednesday I'm eating this, get the stuff and have it done.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll get groceries, but also.
But that's not.
It don't.
Yeah, no, and I did the, I've got food at home.
I have to plan what I'm going to do, not what I'm not going to do.
No, that's fair too. But that's what I'm saying. So that's part of your plan. So figuring out and wording it best for yourself. So you can say, I'm not going to do this or I'm going to do this. But also you said you had the things and it still didn't work. So that's my idea, is like on learning to set boundaries with yourself. Exactly. Learning to set boundaries with yourself. You have to prepare. So have to figure out where you want to go hard or what you're trying to work on and change. Have to figure out why and what the big rub is or what's going on, why it's even a thing for you. And then try different things. So try getting that food and cooking it and having it prepared. And even then you still might want to order something else. But at some point, like, discipline has to step in. And I'm not a person who's like all or nothing when it comes to this, because I feel like I go the opposite way. Like if I tell myself I can't have sweets all week, I'm good at discipline and I might do it for a little bit, but the moment I can, I might go too hard and like just bounce back. And it's like, why even do that? So I let myself have some leeway, but it's like, what does that balance look like for discipline? Where you do not let your mind negotiate with yourself. And that's one of my favorite things that Tony Robbins says. He's like, I do not negotiate with myself. If I tell myself I'm going to do a thing, I show up and I do the thing.
Yes.
And I love like all this grace and space we have with ourselves and letting yourself, like, if you're not feeling good, not do this. And I think that we have to somewhere have discipline and actually show up even if we don't feel like it. I feel like there's such a line.
Because that's really the biggest thing that will break you down, is you can't even trust yourself.
Bro, it's huge.
Yeah, that is a big, big thing, because that's really what
you're telling yourself.
That's really what frustrates you or annoys you. It's like, I know I should be doing this, but I keep doing it. Like, and you're just in the same spot because of that. Maybe, so just like we said last week with now I'm getting an idea for my, like, weekly, like, this is what I do with my different runs. Maybe I need to put, like, what my, one meal, maybe if I plan, like, one meal a day, maybe if I put down, like, one work thing to do or something like that. I don't know, but I've also learned you can't overplan, right?
Oh, so bro, not at all.
That's why maybe let me take this back to doing what I was doing before, where it's like, let me just have my checklist of, like, did I touch all of this? Because even when I do eat now, like, I will say, yesterday I think I remember, like, oh yeah, I have a piece of fish left of leftovers. And I was like, oh yeah, and I got potato. Let me just make a baked potato in that. And then it's like, okay, cool. You'll make what you have if I have it. And it was already cooked. So it was, like, not crazy. But if I try to put down too much stuff, then it still just looks like
and then that's
overwhelming.
That's gonna fail every time. I used to meal prep very heavily. I actually had a little meal prep business in Dallas, but I would meal prep Sunday night for the whole thing. Yeah, I did it the whole time, and I would be really good and balanced. And I just don't necessarily desire to live my life like that anymore, which is fine. But what I've learned is, to your point, if I have all the stuff I need, I prepare. I know that I want to eat less processed food. I want to eat out less and take better care of myself. I do that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around your question, and I wonder if incentivization is something that might work for you or anybody listening. Like, okay, if I get all my runs done, this week, then I can have the cheesecake. Or is that something that sounds like it might?
Because also, here's what I try to do too. I try to think about, like, all right, the things I do regularly, why do I do them? The only reason why I'm running is because, like, oh, I don't want to, I want my friend to be proud that I'm signed up for this marathon with and all that. And B, because I don't want to look foolish at the thing. Like, because I literally can't show up there and not have done any running. Yeah. And so it's harder, though, when it comes to, like, health in your body, unfortunately, to be like, okay, that's why usually it's not until, like, oh, you do get kind of sick, or, like, if I'm having inflammation issues or something, and then it's like, all right, what do I need to change? And then you try to figure it out. But there's not a, like, even if I could say, oh, I want to lose a little weight, or, you want to look good, whatever, it's just something still kind of missing that from, like, having to show up at something or show up somewhere or whatever, you know?
And I think that's the interesting part about going all in, right? Because this could be, it could be
for
work, it could be for whatever, but it really is about getting down to your why and what's important to you, and even like why you feel bad about that and why you feel pressured for something if you don't stay at the job until 6 p.m. like everybody else or whatever's going on. Like, I want y'all to take some time this week and really look at those different areas of your life, like, you know, finances, relationships, health, exercise, working out, entrepreneurship, all of your all of your big things that you're working on, your life, family, friends, and then see what you want to change and see what you've been beating yourself up with or up about, and kind of sit with that and figure out maybe why. And then
check out Joe Dispenza, which I need to reread. I keep trying to
Breaking
reread.
the Habit
I
of
love
Being
listening
Yourself.
to, yes, that's the name of his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So make sure y'all got that from
It's
Carly.
a great book.
It is a really good book. And Joe Dispenza has so many podcast episodes everywhere that literally just listen to those.
Meditations,
you'll get a little something out of that
podcasts, little shorts if you ain't trying to listen to a long thing.
Yeah.
Hella gems in his things. But I think those are the keys of kind of what we're talking about, is like assessment, reflection, and like sitting with your why and what's going on, and really being honest with yourself. And then I love Lexi's idea of like taking the 4 most important things, 5 most important things, whatever, and like making sure that you're working towards those every day consistently, and starting with
even
that.
if it's in a super small way.
Yeah,
That's why I went
especially-
with that, because it'll be like, oh, I did eat 2 grapes. Like, and it's
think
like, you
that
did do
that's
something.
great, yeah.
You did do something. And when it comes to going hard, think about also how, all right, you may not think like, oh, this is not realistic for me to go hard every day for the rest of this year or any of that. But you can have a week out of your month that you really focus in, like, okay, this is my sales week. I'm going hard this week on, even if it's on one thing, or hey, for this week, I'm just juicing. Or sometimes for people, it can be good to have a certain day where it's like, this is a certain day that I'm going to go to the gym every week. And or maybe it's even easier to not have this is the day, but like every week I have a day.
Yep.
And so you can do it as you go, because like I said, when them birthday dinners and stuff come around, and I'll be like, God,
whipping my
dog.
ass. Yeah.
And I'll be messed up. So like, even when I did that run the other day, it's supposed to be my long runs on Saturday, but I forgot where we were going or something was going on. And I was like, well, I'll do it on Sunday. Oh, because we went to the farm. I was like, I'll do that on Sunday. And so planning it out was cool. But even if it's just thinking about a day that you go hard, even if during the day it's an hour, like, okay, from 8 to 9, I put my phone away and do whatever. Break it down to whatever can make sense for you to digest.
Yeah, as I say, I want to shout out one of my homeboys who has ran, it's the only thing more consistent than Lexi and I on the couch. He has ran like 360 probably by this episode, 5Ks every Sunday. This man runs a 5K every Sunday. And
What's that, 3 miles?
Yeah, it's like 3.2.
Shoot, I'm doing 4 of those a week now.
You know, but listen, he's done that for 360 something weeks in a row. He has not missed in a row. And one week his watch didn't count it, so he had to run it again. And so, because
I would put that in manual.
He's like, I'm not losing that. But all of that to say,
so funny.
think about, you know, things that you want to do for yourself, because this is really about you.
Because when you do them, you feel so
Oh my
good.
God. So take some
feel so
time
good.
to reflect and assess and make a plan. Hit us at Carly's Couch. Let us know how you're going to pour into yourself and go all in for you. Hey, this week.
See ya.